So PHP is the language we're going to be learning this semester. And we have already done HTML, CSS, and some aspects of JavaScript. So we know that PHP is a server-side language. PHP allows us to write code into our server and then allow us to communicate also with our database. So that is what PHP will allow us to do. Are we okay? Now, we are going to begin by asking ourselves, where can we find our server? So the server that we are going to be using, where can we find it? The server is going to be in our XAMPP. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to start our XAMPP control panel. Is that okay? We need to start our XAMPP control panel. Now, the first thing we need to start is our Apache. The Apache is going to serve as our server. The next thing we need to put on is our MySQL, which is going to serve as our database management system. So if I have put on my Apache and my MySQL, it means that now I can access my database on my browser by typing localhost. So when I type localhost, any application I have running on my computer will appear over here. Or if you have your application set to dashboard, the dashboard will appear here. Again, if this is off and this is off, it will tell me over here that it cannot find the what? The link. You can see that it cannot be reached because my server is not on. The only way my server can be reached is if my Apache is on, and by virtue of that, my MySQL also comes on. You see, immediately I put those things on, it can be reached and it is opening now for me. Are there any questions on this side? Ali, James, Karen, Louise. Any questions?
No, sir.
Sir, I don't have any questions. I'm following.
Okay. So now, how do I open my database? I will type localhost/php my admin. So me typing localhost/php my admin should open the database management system for me. So again, for me to open my server in my browser, I'll type localhost. For me to open my database, I'll type localhost/php my admin. There is no space in anything I'm typing. Can we see that? Can we see that?
Yes.
In everything I'm typing, there's no space there. So you are not supposed to leave any space there. So over here, we can see my database management system opening for me. And over here, we have my server opening up for me. So that's how we would open up the server in the browser. The question here is this: how do I get physical access to my server? Where is the physical location of my server? So for that, you would go into your XAMPP folder, wherever you have saved it. And then in there, you see a folder called htdocs. And in htdocs, it is here that we will create different folders and put our work in. This location is the physical location for my server. It is here that all my server activities will be done. It is here that all my work will be contained. So again, I will go to my XAMPP is in Drive C, and in Drive C, I'll click on XAMPP, click on htdocs. Again, I'll click on htdocs. And then once I do that, so I'll go to Drive C, I'll go to XAMPP, then I'll go to what? htdocs. And in there, I will create a folder, and that would be the folder that my work would be what? In. Now, I am going to create a folder over here. So I'll click here, click there, create a folder, call it advanced. Are we okay? And then now, how do I open the folder for my work in my browser? The folder is on the server or in the server. So I'll type localhost, bring a slash, and type advanced. So you can see that it immediately opens up the directory for me for my what? Folder. Can we see that?
So I can see it.
So here is the folder for my work. And as you can see, it is telling me that in this directory, I don't have anything there. So now let's put some things there. So I'll open my directory, right click and open it in VS Code by typing code dot here. And then I'll see my application opening up in VS Code for me. Wonderfully. Now in here, I'm going to create a file called process.php. So when I refresh my window again, it shows me that the file I created, which is process.php, is here. But as you can see, it is not opening it up for me. It is just showing me the file directly. For example, if I create a folder here called src, or I create another folder here called includes, for example, when I open my browser and I search, it is showing me the folders that are contained in my server because it doesn't have an index directory to open when it first lands in your folder. So immediately I create a file called index.php and I try refreshing my server. You can see that immediately it opens a blank canvas for me to showcase my work. That is why the index file is important. Because if there's no index file, it will just be opening the files in your server just like that. So for every file we create, the first file we will create would be the index file. So that when the folder directly opens, the index file will be the first thing which what opens. Is that clear?
So
Yes,
please,
sir.
can you take it over again?
We should take it over again, Benny.
So like from how you created the index file.
But it's the
From
same thing you did when you were doing the web application part.
oh, okay,
You just
okay.
click here and then just type in the name you want, the name you want over here. I don't know why this one is so important. Everything we did then, we are implementing it now. So it's basically that. Now, as you can see, the file we have here, we didn't call it index.html. We called it index.php. Because if the file extension is not PHP, the code you write would not be executed by the server. So for the server to execute your code, your file has to be a PHP file. Hence, all the files we will name will not have the extension .html anymore. They will have the extension .what? PHP. Is that clear? What I mean is this. If over here I create a file, say test.html, and in here I type in PHP code, and this same code, I go and type it inside the index page. So I've typed the same code in both locations. Now in my browser, I am going to open index.php, and I'm also going to open so I'm also going to open tests.html. Now I'm going to click on both. Over here, see what comes here. And over here, see what comes here. Nothing appears here. View source. You can see the code here, but nothing appears there because the computer does not know how to render this piece of code because it doesn't understand what this piece of code is, because that file is a HTML file. Over here, see how it renders it. It renders it well because this code here is a PHP code. So it knows that for this code, I need to do something with it. The other one doesn't understand what to do because it doesn't recognize it as PHP code. Hence, any code we write, the files we save have to have the file extension of .php. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Karen, are you there? Karen has joined us and run away. So let's continue then. For me to be able to write PHP code, so for me to be able to write PHP code, I need to write the PHP tag. What is the PHP tag? The PHP tag is this. And then it ends with this. So over here, I have my PHP tag. I have this, and then it ends with what? This. Anytime I want to type PHP code anywhere, I have to write these two pieces of code. Anytime I want to write PHP code, I have to type these two pieces of code. So I can write PHP code in this way. If I type these two things, then I'm writing PHP code. The next thing, how do I display something in PHP? So if I have a piece of code and I want to display something, how will I display the thing in which I want to do? So how will I display? Is that okay? How am I going to display in PHP? For me to display something in PHP, I need to use the echo keyword. So echo, and the thing I want to display, like Karen is not by her PC. So if I want to display something in PHP, this is how I would write it. By using the keyword echo and the thing in which I want to display. I've already told that for PHP code, for me to run PHP code, I need the PHP what? Tag. So it means the echo has to be inside the PHP what? Tag. Using the Chrome browser, sorry. So we can see here, Karen is not by her PC. If I view source code, we can see what it shows me here. It shows me a comment in HTML, another comment in HTML, and because the tags were there, it is run in the server and the result is shown. Over here, we can see that it's run in the server and what result was shown. Karen is not by her PC. So again, this code will be run in the server and the result will be shown, which is what? Karen is not by her PC. Any problems of how to display? Please, I need feedback from you for me to know if you understand or not. That's why I keep asking.
Sir.
Sir, I'm able
Sir.
my display. So far I've put PHP, the PHP tag, then I wrote echo, but I made sure it was in quotations for the statement that I put.
I can't hear you well. You said what?
I said that I added the PHP tag. I first named the document index.php. Then I added the PHP tag, and then in between the PHP tag, I added echo and then the statement. The statement has to be in quotes.
I'm failing to see
So
where the question. What is the question?
No, there's no question. I was just saying that I'm following by what I've done so far, and that's my code.
Oh, okay.
As displaying, yeah.
Okay. And then James, what's your question too?
Mine is the one that you sent to us to watch, on YouTube. I just followed the same steps, but after everything I displayed and it wasn't displaying.
Are you by your computer?
Yes, please.
When we are done, then you will share your screen and see.
Yes, sir.
So over here, we have this piece of code here, whereby, as I said, if I want to display something in PHP, this is what I would want, type. Now, again, PHP is an embedded code. So PHP is a code in which is embedded. What does PHP being embedded mean? It means that I can put other coding language in PHP and it wouldn't be a problem. For example, here I can put this tag here. What tag is this?
That's the header tag.
Pardon?
The header tag.
The header tag. So in my code, again, I'm going to go back here and run it. And we can see that here, the header tag is affecting my code now. The same thing, but it's affecting it now. If I go to the source code on the screen part, we can see that it is running the head tag and this together. Can we see that? Now, I can do this too. I can do H1, and then in here I can say PHP echo Karen is Karen is still not back. Good. So for my first piece of code, one sec, just give me a second, please. Let me go here. So for the first piece of code, I have put the HTML inside the PHP. And over here, I've put the PHP inside the HTML. Let's see if it will run. So again, I will come to my browser, refresh, and we can see that here I have a H1, here I have a H1. If I go to the source code, we can see that it looks the same. Here I have a H1, and over here too, I have a what? H1. There is no difference between the two. So for PHP code, as I said, we can embed it. We can write the code either in the HTML tag or either in the PHP tag. It doesn't really matter. But if you are writing the code in the HTML tag, remember it goes with the quotes. If it is in this way, then we have to bring the PHP tag where we want to what? Embed. Okay. The next thing we have to learn about in PHP is how do we write a variable? How do I write a variable in PHP? I would use the $sign. So wherever you see the $sign, it means that that thing there is a variable. So for example, if I have my PHP tag here, I can have $sign full name, $sign last name, $sign phone number, $sign age, $sign date of birth, $sign salary, $sign address. These are all variables in PHP. Anytime I want to write a variable in PHP, I start with the $sign in front of it. So the $sign being in front of the word means that that word is a variable. This is how I write variables in PHP. PHP is also one of those languages that are loose and they do not have a structure in terms of data type of variables, which means that the data type of a variable in PHP is set on initiation. That is, over here, if I do is equal to John, then John becomes the name of my variable. If I do is equal to Tom, then Tom becomes the data type of my variable. Over here, I can do phone number is equal to 2423, that. And this becomes the data type of it. I can do is equal to 23. I can do is equal to I can do as we can see, any variable I give to it, I don't have to specify the data type which goes with it. You guys are doing Java now, so by now you should know what the data type is. The moment I assign a value to a variable on initiation, that value will take up the variable I have, will take the data type of the variable I have assigned. So it will have that data type assigned to it. Are there any confusion?
No, sir, I've understood.
So this is how I will assign a variable in PHP. If I wanted to display a variable in PHP, how will I do that? So if I want to display a variable in PHP, how am I going to do that? So over here, I have first and last name of an individual. So remember, if I want to do PHP code, I need to bring the PHP what? Tag. In here, I can say echo the first name. And remember, every variable has a, I said full name, right? So, full name. Or if I want to join some names, I can do it echo full name dot that dot last name. Good. Save. So now if I go to my browser, I should see John, Tom. And this is coming from here. So the first one we see is John. Then it is followed by John space Tom. I can add a HTML code for break here by doing this. In doing so, now I'll have John on one line, and then I have John Tom on the other line. We can see that the PHP, the variable here contains the word John. So John appears here, the variable John is here, and I am joining it to a space, and I'm also joining it to the variable for last name, which contains Tom. So we can see John Tom over here too. Are we okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So in order to work within two variables, you need to add the dots. So what is the dot supposed to represent?
The dot is supposed to join them together. If I have two variables, and I want to join them together, I can't just join them together. I have to use the dot to join them together. So for example, first name dot last name will provide me with the variables being joined together. The dot is the concatenation tool in PHP. The same way when you are doing JavaScript, it is the plus, which is the concatenation tool. Ali, are we okay?
Yes, sir.
So the dot is used to join two or more strings together. By the way, I have given you people a book to read. I hope you are reading it.
The PHP cookbook.
Yes, I hope you are reading it.
Yes, I read the Git and post, but the curl is it a command or is it supposed to be CURL? I'm not sure. I read the Git and then the post, but then for the curl, I'm not sure what that part is.
When we get there, we'll treat it. But I'm talking about this note. Anyway. So now we know how to display a variable. We know how to get a variable. How do we add data to a variable? How do we ask a user to add data to a specific variable? We would have to design a form to take the information we want to input. For example, over here, I will have to bring in the form tag. I will move these things away from here and put them in process.php so that I will have a brand new canvas to work on. And here I have the form tag, and over here I have the close form tag. And in here, I have an input tag, which is going to be for number 1. And over here, the type is going to be number. And then the name is going to be number 1. And over here again, I have number 2. I've typed be equal to number what? Number, here will be number what? 2. Name is equal to number 2. Wonderful. Now, I will add an ID to this as number 1, and I'll add an ID here as number 2. Okay. Now, under these 2 things here, I will add another input of type submit. And I'll say the name of my submit should be submit, and the value of my submit should be sum, find the sum. And then I'll bring a slash here and close. Now, over here, when I go and refresh my page, I should see something. I should see written number 1, written number 2. I should see, after I see number 1 and number 2, over here, because I don't want them to be on one straight line, I'll bring a break here. And I also bring a break here for this. On my screen, I should have number 1, number 2, a space for you to type number 1, a space for you to type number 2, and then the find the sum button. Just so it looks nice, I'll make this capital. And over here, I'll add another break so that there's some more space between the 2 words, like this. So this is what I have. The idea is this: if I type something here and I type something here and I click sum, it should give me the answer somewhere here. That's fine. That's not a problem. Now, when I press the sum button here, what is going to happen? Over here, we have 2 very key words here. We have name and we have ID. We already know what ID is. It is the unique identifier of a HTML element. So any element I have of HTML type, for me to uniquely identify it in my code, I use the word ID. So over here, I have 1, 2, 3 input tags. If I tell you to go and bring me one of those input tags, the logical question will be which one? And I'll tell you the one with the ID submit, or the ID number 1, or the ID number what? 2. So the ID is uniquely used to identify a particular HTML element. Now, what is the name for this? What do we use the name for? The name becomes a temporal storage for data. Now, when we look at when I come back here again, here I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And over here, I come and type 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. And I click submit. I am going to copy the URL that is there, okay? And bring the URL here so that we can see it well. The URL is broken down like this. I am using an HTTP connection. That is why I'm on a browser. Over here, we know what this word here is. It is for our server. And we know that when we get into our server, there is a folder called advanced. Now, in the advanced folder, we are dealing with the index. That's why there is nothing here. Because it's the index file, there's no need for there to be something there. So we are in the index. Now, from the question mark onwards, there is a conversation to be had. Where from the question mark? The question mark comes in because you clicked on the submit button. You told the computer that this button here is a submit button, which means that upon you clicking that button, it should submit your form for you. So the question mark is telling you that your button, the button that you clicked on, has been submitted. That's number one. Now, the question is that if you submit the button, the data you have entered, what happens to it? You realize that we entered the data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first section and 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 in the second section. We can see from here that number 1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where from this number 1? It is coming from the name number 1 here. It is used for data. Hence, whenever you type something and submit, that piece of data is stored in the name value of the input tag. It is very important we understand this. We'll be using this repeatedly throughout our course. So anytime we type something in any form we use online, that piece of data has to be saved somewhere. There are other ways we can save it, but the easiest way is for you to save it in the name variable of the thing. So as you can see, we have number 1 being equal to this, and number 2 being equal to that, and the submit being equal to find the sum. You can see here that I said the value is what? Find the sum, which means that even the button has data that is given to it. And keep that in mind. So when I click the submit button, the data in the value is given to the name in which I've put here. And the name I've put there is what? Submit, with like a small letter S. Are there any questions here? This is one of the scenarios whereby if you hold your silence for the entire course, don't come and raise hell. Since my students are silent, it means they understand.
Yes, sir, I understand.
So the question is this: why did the data appear in the URL? It appeared in the URL because you didn't specify the method of which the data should be propagated and saved. So in the form tag, if you type in method and you tell the computer that you want to use the get method, it means that you want the data to be sent through the URL for you. And as you can see, when we started, we didn't have it there, which means that by default, all form data is sent in the URL. So it means all form data by default is a get. If I don't want to send it through the URL, but I want to send it through a minimum encryption tool that will be sent in the background, then I am going to use post. So I'll use get if I want it to be sent through the URL, or post if I want it to be sent in the background with minimum encryption. It's encrypted, but it is minimum, very, very minimum. For our case today, we want to use what? Get. So that is what we are using. Now, I have propagated my information. So for example, if I type in here 12 here and I click sum, I expect to see the summation of 12 and 12. How will I do that? First of all, I need to bring my PHP tags. After this, I need to bring my PHP variable to go and collect my number 1 and go and collect my what? Number 2. So this should be equal to $_get. So again, if I want to use, or if my information is in get, and I want to go and bring my information to my PHP variable, I will have to type this. But the question is, what goes in here, in the square brackets here? What goes in there? The name in which you gave the variable location to be held. So you're telling the computer, go into the get sequence and look for where the name is equal to what? Number 1. Also here, look for where the name is equal to number 2. Why are we using number 2? The name here is what? Number 2. Now over here, I am going to access my information from this point by saying that $, the sum of the numbers is equal to number 1 plus number 2. What I have done, is it correct? It is not correct. Why is it not correct? Because here I'm supposed to have a $sign here, and here I'm supposed to have a $sign here, because all my PHP variables always start with a $sign. Thus, I can say echo the sum of the numbers is, and then I can bring a dot and say it is what? Sum. Remember, every statemental right ends with a semicolon. Now, if I refresh my page again, I can see that the sum of the numbers is now showing there for me. But if I run this program fresh, it would give me an error. Why is it giving me an error? It's giving me an error which states that the array, and as you can see, wherever in programming you use these square brackets, it means you are using an array. So the array in line 9 does not have any value. Is that true? The value also at line 10 is not having any value. Is that true? Let's see if it is true. At the start of my program, I haven't clicked on the submit button. So it means the get variable has not been set yet. So it is true. Now I have to tell the computer that, wait, only do these calculations here when I have clicked on the submit button. Again, programming is logic, so we must think through our problems. If you are telling me to go and sum 2 numbers up, and I haven't entered anything here and here, for me to click here, for it to be summed up. So you have no numbers there anyway for you to do the summation. When will you have numbers here? When the person clicks on the submit button, because a logical person will only click on the submit button when they have something in number 1 and number 2. So I would use the if statement to say if is set, and a set is going to check if a particular variable has a value or not. So if it has a value, then it's going to say true. If it does not, then it's going to say false. What do I want to check if it has a value? I want you to go and check the get variable. For what? Submit. Now, when I click on the submit button, as you can see, the value it will get will be what? Find the sum. So until I click on the submit button, the submit get does not have any value. Hence, do not do all of the what following. And here we have this. So when I start my program out fresh, I have no error because nothing has been done and nothing has been clicked on. When I type something here and click on find sum, now something has been done, so something will appear where? Here. Are there any questions? James, Ali, any questions?
No, so okay, one question. That is set. You said it's the it's used to specify values. So when you use is set, is it supposed to specify the particular action that will take for the
I didn't say
method
the if
being
set
used?
is supposed to specify a particular value. I said that
Oh, okay.
if I wrap is set around a specific variable, it will check if that variable has been set, has a value. So if that variable
Okay,
does
thank you,
not
sir.
have a value, then it is going to tell you that it is false. If it has a value, then it's going to be true. So for example, here I'm saying that if this place is true, then perform all the actions you see here. When will this place be true? It will be true when the submit button has a value. When will the submit button have a value? When I click on the submit button. So until I click on the submit button does not have a value. James, share your screen and let me see what you are saying.
Sir,
Yes, go on.
hello?
I can hear you. Go on. I can hear you. So show me where the error is. James, are you there? James, are you there? Can you hear me?
So I think his network is having an issue.
Oh,
Hello?
yeah, James.
Yes, my didn't drop. So,
We could hear you. Just show us where
okay,
the problem is. So do it
okay,
again and
okay,
show us where the problem is.
okay. So let me share my screen now. with the video, you used I saw that you were using Atom, so I also used Atom for
No problem.
yes.
So close where the welcome guide is. Close it. The welcome guide. Go
Okay.
to where the welcome guide is typed.
Oh,
No. No, don't do that one. The side, go to the side. Yeah, click there. And then where we have written welcome guide, go to where you have written welcome guide and click the times there. Good. So this is what we have, right?
Yes, sir.
And you are using post, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now run this code and let me see in your browser.
Okay. So, sir, that's it.
Your XAMPP is not on. Put on your XAMPP.
Oh, that's it.
Click start. The Apache is off. So click the start.
Okay.
And click the start for the MySQL.
Yes, sir.
You can see that now your browser is working because now your XAMPP is what? On. You understand?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now
So
let's
that
go
means
to
the
the
first time
browser.
I didn't run it.
No, you didn't run it. That's why it wasn't
Yes,
coming.
sir.
So
Yes,
let's go
sir.
to the browser.
Okay.
So you can see the things are there now. So type
yes,
it
sir.
in, let's see if it will work.
All right. Sorry. It's working.
You get it?
Yes, sir.
So we are okay now.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else with a problem?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, I have a question. So
Mhm.
is it more recommended to use Post than to use Get because Post is encrypted? It has an encryption channel that allows the user to not see information in the backend. So would it be more recommended to use Post than to use Get?
It is scenario based. There is no one which is better than the other. If I am going to be sending sensitive information, if the information I'm going to be sending is sensitive in nature, then logically I should use what? Post. If the information is not sensitive, then logically I should use I should use a get. For example, if I go to google.com and I type here Karen, let's look at the search here in Google, right? You can see that immediately you see a question mark here and kill. Everything here is a get. Can we see that, Ali?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it is not, the question is not which one is better. There are two. So which one do you use based on scenario? Obviously, if your information is sensitive, you would use the encrypted one. If it's not sensitive like this one, you will use the get because no one cares what you have searched. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Karen has raised her hand. Though. Karen, what is it?
Sorry, my audio wasn't working earlier.
Oh, yes, I saw your message. I'm just pulling your leg. Don't mind.
Yes, that is my code is not really running. I want to share my screen and see.
Sure, share your screen and let's see.
Sir, I can't share my screen when your screen is on.
Oh, forgive me, Karen. I have put mine off. Mm-hmm. Okay. But Karen, why is your window small like that? Make it bigger, small. Oh, okay. So run your code and let's see. I think I know what the problem is going to come from, but you run your code and let's see. Okay, So refresh your screen. Do you want to submit form? Okay. All right. Stop. Go back to your code. Scroll up. Okay. The method of transfer of data for your code is post. Can we see that? Can you see that? Line 1. In your line 1, you have written there post. But in line 15, you are using get to go and take your information. So it means the method at the top also has to be what? Get. So type get there. Small letters. Now save. Now let's go back to your for. And let's refresh. So now it works. Now let's go back to your code. Now change where the method is to post. And then come to line 15 and change that 1, 2 to post, capital letters. Change all of them to post. So where we have the get, yes, that place 2 to post. That other place 2 to post. Very good. Now save. Now let's go back to your code. Let's refresh. And let's test it and see. You see that? So if I am using post, then it means what I'll be using to collect the information should be what? Post. If I am using get, what I'll use to collect the information should be what? Get. Is that clear?
Thank you, sir. I've gotten it.
Are there any more questions? Now, this is the assignment in which you people have. This is the assignment in which you people have. Okay? Are you ready for the assignment?
Yes, sir.
I have opened a new business for myself. The new business I have opened involves me giving food to lecturers of Blue Crest in the morning. Are we all following?
Yes, sir.
Now, your job is to design an interface for a lecturer or student to make an order for food. And when they are done making the order for food, you will display their order to them. Just that. So take the order a student has made, and then once you take the order the student has made, you display the order they have made to them. I will leave the information you take, but you should take at least 10 pieces of information. That is first name, last name, phone number, address, office, those kind of things, because you are going to give the person food. Obviously, you have to ask the person, what food do they want? Do they want 2 types, like extra or just one? You must ask them that. Take the information and using PHP, display it at the bottom. just like what we did today. What we did, I took one number, took another number, and displayed the result at the bottom. The same thing. Take one number, take two number, and display it at the what? Bottom. Does that make sense?
Sir,
Yes.
Harry.
Okay, Sir Pete, you said, if I got it right, you said we should take the order for a student or a lecturer and display the order for them.
Yes. But you are to design the interface using HTML and CSS. Are we okay? So just like how we did, you would save it. So you design a very nice interface, not this white, it shouldn't look like as white as this one. It shouldn't look as white as this one. It should be a nice interface. Remember, the idea is that it is for Bluecrest students and teachers, which means that the interface should look like Bluecrest and all of that. And when they type in the info using GET, you should be able to display the information the person has what typed. That's all. When we come next week, we will learn how we can move the information into a database. How we can take the information we have and put it into a what? Database. So your job is to design it. When we come next week, after you have gathered the information, then we'll go and put it inside a what? Database. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, I am available to you all week. Design it. Try it. Any problem you have, message me and let me know. I'll be sending you another of those videos I sent you, step by step, what you'd watch and then do, so that you would use that to also learn ahead a bit. Because last year we missed like 2 classes, and I think we missed 3 or 4 classes because of the missed semester period and all of those things. And I don't want those scenarios to happen again. So to top up the online, I'll be sending you videos and stuff. Also, to make our learning effective, whenever you have a problem, you can send it to me. If I think the problem will be easy for us to solve it during the class, I'll let you project it, then we solve it and move on. And if you can take a picture of the problem too, that would be best, so that you can send me a snapshot. I'll have a look at it and tell you what the problem, the solution is, and we'll continue. That doesn't mean that every time you have a problem, then you call me. But if it's a major problem, you can't work your head around it, just send it to me and I'll help you out. The idea is for you to continue doing it till it doesn't worry you anymore. So the more you practice, the better you are going to become. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Sir.
So if there are no questions, I'll end it here. As I said, I'll be sending you a video that has to do with pushing something into the database. Remember, when we come here, the same way I went to the bottom and we started from scratch. That's what we do. But I just want to plant the seed in your head so that whilst we are going, the seeds will be making sense and then you'll be grasping. Since we are not in class, it will help you that way. So we will try our best to make sure that all of you are capable of building an application to enter into the database, be retrieved, you can manage it, and so on and so forth. Are we okay? And maybe getting to the end of the semester, if everything goes well, we can start learning WordPress and using WordPress to build a website. So,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
If there are no questions, then I will leave you to enjoy your weekend and prepare for Monday.
So,
yeah.
Please, is this video going to be uploaded onto your
yes
YouTube page so that we can go over it again?
Yes, I would. save it and then send it to you guys. So it's being recorded, so I will send it
Yes,
to you guys when the class ends.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming. We'll meet again next week.